I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich. Hello everyone, welcome back to another political recap stream here on the whatever channel we're on. That one.
Moistski Live.
Bosh. Joining me to talk about some things that we're not prepared for on the slightest is my delicious, scrumptious co-host, TrupsLP. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How's Trups?
Trups is all right. Have we shilled the stream?
I have actually put it in places.
Okay, good.
I put it on the
I'm
Twitter.
gonna get yelled at if I don't.
I put it on the Twitter. I put it on Discord servers. I was on it.
Well played. Well played.
I probably should have put it in the community tab on the main channel, but I can't be asked with them over there. A lot of my audience on the main channel seem to be snowflakes. I can't be asked with them.
It's because you treat them with such baby hands.
Someone earlier on the... I've been uploading all my crime stuff to a separate thing. Someone actually said to me, I did a video on a guy called Alex Belfield. Is that his name? Yeah. And I uploaded it over there as well. And I don't get many comments, obviously, but one, it's actually blown up over there a bit, though. Nearly 1,000 views, which is a lot for over that on that area. Somebody commented, he doesn't even have the balls to show his face.
Right.
Okay.
Many don't.
Yes, it's
not a balls thing. It's a preference thing.
I'm discussing crime. What the fuck does the face? Someone had to announce their departure in a video. Comment. I think it was on like the second channel. Someone announced their departure.
Did you tell them that it wasn't an airport?
I said thank you for announcing your departure, and then I made some rather nasty little comment in their direction. I thought, as I'm known for being a bit blunter over there, I'm going to be an absolute cunt to you because you deserve it.
We love that here. Well, I do. I don't know how the rest of the chat. I love it.
I don't on the main. Sadly, I built that audience. That's my fault. But I can at least remove it on their on the other channels and be a massive cunt to people if they want me to be. Think of it like the Karen restaurant. You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Yes. Is that the one where they treat you like a dick?
In Manchester, yes.
Yeah, I want to go there.
So do I.
No lie.
I want to go there. I really do. I've seen the videos of it. It has that's what you're going to get if you're going to tell me that you have to announce your. I think. Oh, I know what it was. Bored after 5 minutes. Bye. That's what they said on the crime channel. I was like, yeah, thanks for announcing your departure. Thanks, dickhead. Bye. Your engagement's appreciated, though. Idiots.
Truly.
It's also monetized, so I don't give a shit. Why do I have to care?
Double wins.
So what's TrupsLP been up to the last couple of weeks?
Well, I did my LARP thing last week, and I worked this week, which always thrilling and exciting.
You sound excited.
And now I get my weekend. That's the real important part.
Why is that? Because
I don't go to work.
That is important. Now you've said it that way. With that context, you are quite right.
Right. That's that's honestly like, oh god, the weekend is a beautiful thing.
I'll have to take your word for it. I work my weekends. I'm not as I have yet to experience this without being unemployed. I feel like I'm missing out.
This is fair. Well, I mean, to be fair, I like the comfort of my house, as we've discussed previously. So like,
do
even
like
if
your
I'm
safe
doing
space,
work
yeah.
around the house, then we're good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with enjoying a safe space. It's your domain, your realm, you know.
Did you see? This is not related. Well, it's kind of related, but like, um, as more of a interest point, did you see that Glenn Jacobs
Wrestler,
welcomed Ron DeSantis to Knox County
Well,
for a visit?
he's more Republican these days. He weirdly Kane originally when he started talking more frankly in interviews, he identified as more a centre-left libertarian, and as the years went by, I don't know what changed. I assume his perspective on what the left was just made him think, well, no, I'm moving away from this. He is a very good person. He's very engaging in politics.
Yeah.
People might not agree with him, but at least he has the balls to say what you guys. A lot of people appear to be afraid. Not you. A lot of people appear to be afraid of saying.
I saw he made some comment at one point, several months, maybe even a year ago.
So shooting
and
very
I think it was, and
yeah,
the
I
amount of
remember.
WWE stars that came out like yelling at him was insane.
Yeah, they have to protect a certain image that's really like PG kid friendly. He's a legend. He doesn't have to do shit. He's already got his Hall of Famer ring. He's got millions. He doesn't have to care.
True.
He can. He can chill now. He doesn't have to worry. But he's invested in politics, and good for him. I don't know if that's
to do something more.
I don't know if this is a prelude to anything with DeSantis.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If nothing else, he might like endorse, but like whatever.
Isn't Tennessee red anyway at the moment?
Yeah, usually.
So I see it's a safe place for him to at least just go and meet others that will back him.
From the point of view of like a plebeian, or rather, let's just say a politician, to be greeted. I just imagine being greeted by Kane at the airport has got to be a bit of a surreal experience, because for me, he's still Kane. Brothers of Darkness,
the big
WWF,
red monster, big red machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hilarious if he turned up in his bright red spandex and a mask and all that.
I would laugh.
And as DeSantis gets off the plane, he blows it up with his pyrotechnics. That's fantastic.
I'd like it, but that it is what it is.
I want to see what the height difference is.
Oh, I sent a picture. I think they're sitting down though.
I'll be honest, the difference can still be there.
Not in that picture. It honestly, you know what? That shot probably, if they're like maybe like a foot or two apart there, and he's still at the same height, he's got to be like not too bad higher, but like considerably. You know what I mean?
Kane is 6'10", 6'11".
Mm-hmm.
So that
I don't know how tall DeSantis is. Hold on, let's find out. But anyway, I understand this is a tangent, but
no, it's a good one.
I wanted to point that out.
But you can tell from looking at Kane when he's standing up that he is a giant.
Mm-hmm.
So you do, unless DeSantis is as well, which I don't think he is. There are some shenanigans there with how he's sitting.
Mm-hmm. DeSantis is 6'1".
Yeah, they're nowhere near each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah.
Anyway, how was your weekend?
Well, okay, so
sorry.
Well, no, we can talk about the weekend first. Easy. My friend Dave was here. He and I, we had to go to a town to acquire some Nerf armaments and ammunition for a Nerf war. Magic cards as well for some Magic the Gathering. Sun was out, so we came back, opened our fat packs. I haven't built a deck, I'll do it tomorrow. He's also not here, so I'll have it at least prepared next time. And we had Nerf War, which was hilarious. A lot of fun. The kids that got involved that actually knew how to fire it were great. We had steak, whiskey. Friend of the family got absolutely mullered. Me and Dave drank him under the table, and he threw up, which was hilarious. Whereas myself and Dave, well, Dave had hiccups, he couldn't drink anymore. Where I had pins and needles in my hands. So it was like Legolas drink off with Gimli. I felt something in my fingers and thought, I'll stop now in case I feel any worse. But yeah, I had a great time. Yeah, that's about it. Didn't really do too much, to be honest. If I had a chance to hang out, we hung out, tried different whiskies, and finished a few bottles. Yeah.
There you go.
About it, really. I had a glass this evening, a little toast as usual. About it, really. Nothing exciting.
Well, I mean, it's better than working.
I mean, I'm doing that as well, but yeah.
You have been quite busy. You have been quite busy on your main channel now.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep active.
Yes, I see them every day. I do actually watch them while I'm at work.
I watched on Monday the Queen's funeral, and so Monday I made the video on Monday on Sunday, and so my friend Dave and I, we watched the whole thing start to finish from like 10:30 a.m. to about 6 p.m. We watched the whole thing. We didn't stop to do anything else. When we were eating dinner, I put it on the tablet and carried on watching because it's a big deal for us. It's our longest reigning monarch. We're going to show some respect,
Yeah, I saw the video that you made about the fucking the journalists who think that they're better than everybody else. Well,
the TV presenters who think they're journalists who are queue jumping. Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
We Brits take queues very seriously.
Yes, I've seen. If I remember correctly, you guys even decide you want to queue in traffic.
Yes. If you queue jump, we will tell you to take your shoes to the back of the line and stand there in your shirt. We will not tolerate this disorderly queue jumping. People do it at gigs when I go. I promise you, everyone in the queue pounces on them until they get to the back. Doesn't matter if they're there to see friends. No. If your friend has your ticket, you better hope and pray they're still waiting for you at the door because we're going past you regardless. Yeah, no. We don't appreciate that. That was a very lazy video, but that was intentionally because I'm just very annoyed by it. Such a shitty thing to do. I think there were a lot of politicians who did it as well. Now, politicians get a pass in this, not by me, but because of the way the system works. They work in that building, therefore they get preferential treatment. Now, I don't agree with that. In fact, many politicians don't either. So much so, former prime ministers who had the ability to if they wanted to, because they were still acting MPs, did not hop the queue. They queued up with everyone else. And I can include former Prime Minister Theresa May. I do believe Jacob Rees-Mogg actually queued up as well with 3 of his sons and his wife. I believe other frontbenchers for the shadow cabinet and for the current government queued up. Many didn't, and I don't agree with that in the slightest because it's obviously it's an arcane process, but it's and morbid for some. I know. Shut the fuck up. It's just part of our process, though. We don't believe that to be remotely respectful to that particular monarch. And so no. And thing is, a lot of people who work in that building as well were treated in the MPs all got this preferential treatment. Their staff didn't. So any MP that has any staff, they don't get preferential treatment at all. They had to queue up like everyone else. But nor did anyone else that worked in that building that wasn't a politician. They didn't get any preferential treatment. They were made to queue up if they wanted to as well. So I felt that was a level of elitism that didn't need to exist. Because you got to remember here, politicians serve the people. Right. So why are they then jumping in front of the people to be able to do something before the people? They should be doing it with the people.
And in addition to that, maybe I'm just weird, right? But I have this feeling to my, in my not British brain. You've got an instance, right, where you are facing something that is very large and it affects everybody in the country. And almost, I don't want to compare it to larger things, but let's just say a national event, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you guys are all just UK citizens. You're all British, right? You're all English.
Subject to the crown.
Right. It does not matter your profession. It does not matter, what kind of status you have. You are all, at that point, you're just British. And I don't know. I feel as if the idea that one will skip the line is almost like pretending that you're something greater than, as you put it, a servant to the crown. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
100%.
That's just me.
No, it's a fair assessment, to be honest. And one hopes that many of those politicians who got absolutely flayed for this learn their bleeding lesson. Thankfully, when Charles goes, King Charles III, there aren't going to be as many people queuing up to say goodbye. I promise you that. But not because it's just he'll never be as popular as his mother. There's no version of it where he is.
Well, I mean, he's only going to have 20, maybe.
Maybe 20.
We'll hope, right? We'll hope 20.
Well, his mother got to 96. He is 73.
Right, but she got to reign for 70 plus. So
I mean, he still could as well, but he'd need a bionic heart for it. I think in the context of what will happen, it'll be 10 to 15 years with him, and I think he'll probably near his end abdicate to Will, just because he'll give William a longer run. Because we've had after Queen Victoria 65 years, we had 2 very short reigns from whoever they were, King George and someone else, and George's brother who abdicated to go fuck an American mistress who left him anyway. Then you had 70 years of Queen Elizabeth. Problem you've got now is Charles is 73, William is 40, 41, maybe something like around that area. Issue now is both of them. William will be older when he finally gets to the throne, and George, his eldest son, who becomes king after him, will also be in his 50s, more than likely 40s or 50s by the time he gets to the throne. So we got to this weird stage now where our royal family are a lot older, so their reigns aren't going to be as long as Queen Elizabeth or Queen Victoria. Unless something freakish happens to one of them, which is unlikely. Right. Because they're not as inbred as they used to be.
Right, and I don't want to dwell too much on the royals because I know you didn't want to. I just wanted to.
That's fair.
To pull that up because I did have thoughts, and I figured it would be something that I could bring up shortly.
Well, I can say the one thing I'd leave it with is I was very happy with how respectful the country was, because some did, dunk, dab, be a bit of a twat, that's expected, but the vast resounding vocal majority said, shut the fuck up. Unlike other people that pass away, there aren't many that have had something ill to say. Those that have been, well, oddly enough, American academics who have been absolutely shat on.
This is slightly related, but kind of not. Did you see Don Lemon talking to the royal correspondent on CNN, bringing up
the one that
reparations thing?
Okay, so it's not the one that said one of our a British academic had an argument with one of the NBCFS, one of those stupid 5-letter news channels. Okay, and they argued about what happened under Elizabeth, the colonialism and the slavery, and the response was, well, we ended ours 32 years before yours, and it didn't cost us a civil war and over 600,000 people to die to do it. And I was like, bosh, that's the response. The thing is, I put that in last week's exhibition of stupid people. People latched onto it and went, oh, you cut off, you're just misinterpreting. That's a bit of a low blow, really, don't you think? I'm like, no, it's the whole fucking point. It's the whole point. You can't market yourself as the world's greatest democracy when that shit is in your past, okay? Don't try me. And also, we didn't have to have a civil war. We really didn't. You did. You can't keep shitting on our royal family because we dealt with shit. Okay? Not you. It's just, it cracked me up to no end. But I haven't seen the Don Lemon one. Please tell me what happened.
Oh, so he basically brought up, the estate that Charles just basically inherited. Right?
500 million,
yeah. Well, they made the comment that, he doesn't have to pay any
inheritance
tax on that. Yeah. And Don Lemon made the fucking asinine comment. He was like, do you think that 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 should be taxed, and maybe that tax would be used for reparations. And the correspondent basically said exactly what you just said. In addition, they were like, well, you have to go back to the source, right? It wasn't British people who went in there and collected slaves. No, they got met on the beach by, ironically, the fucking Woman Queen movie.
The African tribe one.
Yes, the African tribe that
got beaten by the
their own
French.
people in slavery.
Yeah, they got beaten by the French. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing with Lemon's comment is inheritance tax is 40% of $500 million. That's what, 200 million. We have a population of 65 million. We don't know how many. Let's say charitably 10 million are descend from slaves. They're not going to get a whole lot, okay? And you think that's reparations? Let me just give some context here. People are very anti-monarchy, and I just want to say this. I've stated that I've always been pro-monarchy because they make us money. The royal brand is worth £90 billion. That's what the brand is worth, okay? On an annually, they make us, or have done under Elizabeth, and hopefully they will under King Charles III, 2.5 billion a year. How much of that do you think they cost the taxpayer?
I do not know.
500 million. So they make us 400% more than what they cost us at a cost of £8 per person annually.
Mm-hmm.
I know many people would rather have a PlayStation Plus subscription, perhaps, but considering the context that they make us 4 times what they actually cost us, I'm quite happy for them to, get their money. Because they make us money. And I like making money.
True.
Donate to my coffee! But yes, make money. That's... my friend Dave...
money.
Right? Meg money. My friend Dave is very pro-royal because he's a historian, it's his thing. I am pro in the sense that they benefit this country. They have always... We're also a constitutional democracy.
Monarchy.
It's very different system. There's a lot of symbolism in what the crown gives the people. And I think it's very important to acknowledge this. And I know America's not a democracy, it's a democratic republic. Thank you very much. I do appreciate the information. I didn't know that before. But yes, I think that as long as they maintain their position and keep doing this for us, I honestly see no reason to give a fuck because they're making us money. Keep making me money. You can have your £50 million yacht because you're still bringing in another 2.5 billion annually. Cha-ching.
True, actually. I mean, it's a very fair point. I mean, like the return on investment at that point.
Exactly. You've got to think business here. If
you don't think that, they think I have feelings and.
It's always about the reparations crap. The problem is it doesn't float in this country. People don't really. You can't argue reparations in the United Kingdom. It doesn't work. It's never worked. We don't have the same problems other countries have, and I think people who latch onto these much more West than us problems need to really have a think about what they're trying to argue and where they're trying to argue it. It doesn't work here, and
how. I mean, like there is a way to properly like discuss your disagreement about policy, but every time I hear somebody making a comment against like royalty, it's never more substantive than, oh, they did bad things. Like the entirety of slavery is what I'm going to blame the royals for. And I'm like, oh, hold on a second.
Slaves existed.
It's not as cut and dry as that.
Slaves have existed even without royalty. They existed under many empires that have risen and fallen. Romans didn't have a royal family, but they had slaves.
Slaves exist now.
Slaves do. Modern slavery is very much a thing, and slavery itself. You can take right back to the very first human civilization. Is that Mesopotamia?
Babylon, Mesopotamia.
Thank you.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Slaves existed then. In fact, it was a social system. Society was built off the back of slavery. And I'm sorry, that's always been... You cannot at any point say it was just one race. No. More modern version of it. Yeah, okay. British certainly But unfortunately, you can't just latch onto one thing and ignore everything else to make yourself seem more important. We don't dabble in this country, especially with the oppression Olympics. We just enable it because we're idiots.
True. Don't know why y'all do that, but you do.
Everyone keeps doing it. I don't like it. I think you can't. With Charles, there's a strange thing now because you can't argue that he is racist. There's no proof. You can't argue that he's sexist. That doesn't work either. You can't argue he's not environmentally friendly. You can use one or two instances where he's contradicted himself. Like, for example, this is a man who is very green. He loves his organic food. He loves promoting a more greener planet. He always has. This man, unironically, received a environmentalist award. Yeah? He went to collect it in New York after flying there on a private jet. You
irony.
You celebach. I thought it was hilarious because, he didn't, I'll be honest, I do remember he didn't originally want to go. But, he had to go. So he's like, all right then. I'll just get myself a cheeky Nando's on the way and I'll fly over. Perfect. I've been learning to do a Prince Charles or King Charles voice. It hurts my voice more than the aggression vocals do. But anyway, I think that he is offering to streamline and modernize the royal family. So he is not, for example, any more extended family are not getting royal titles. It is very much going down the line of succession, and the cutoff has been hit. I think that'll be because that means if they're working royals, also they get a cut of the annual turnover, as it were. And I think he wants to make sure that the royal family brand stays down that line, as it were, so it doesn't. And I think that's also a shot at Harry and Meghan. They're not working royals; they have royal titles, and now they managed to reach a compromise with Charles, where Meghan and Harry's son and daughter get prince and princess titles, but that is the only thing they will get from the royal family. They will get nothing else, no financial aid, no working status, ever. And I think that's really important because they're not a part of they may be entitled to it, but actually they're not. Charles decides if they're entitled to it. It's his right, as the king. All hail the king. And I think that's very important to distinguish here. And also, if you're going to carry on shitting on the very family you want those titles from, while simultaneously destroying their brand to make you money, knowing that once you've destroyed that family, which you won't be able to destroy, there'll be no money for you to make, even though at this present moment in time, you'll be fucked if you try and make any money anyway, because seriously, in this country, you have to hire your own security because the police wouldn't protect you. Would be the dumbest thing in optics you could ever imagine, ever. It would look very bad during a time of mourning, which is what it's called right now, to continue to shit on the very family you claim to want things from, while you simultaneously make money off dunking on them, off Netflix, which would hurt Netflix as a brand, you as a brand, and make you look like even bigger entitled twats than you already are.
I was going to say, that's pretty hard. They're already pretty
pretty
bad.
They have been quite quiet since the funeral. I don't know if it's because of sincerity or because they realise if they open their mouths, they're in trouble. I do apologise for my TED talk there, but I'm not a fan of Harry or Meghan.
I love it. I love getting Meg wound up so that he has full-on opinions. That brings me joy.
Oh, good. And Cyrene in the chat, I thought Harry and Meghan wanted to... Meghan, let's call it that. Wanted to raise their kids without... yeah, right. As private citizens. Apparently not, because they've been granted the title of Prince Archibald and Princess Lilibet. Yes. I would have thought it'd be better for them to not have those titles, because then they can actually live a somewhat normal life. To have those titles means that the eyes are on them, and you now run a very big risk for those children. And that's somewhat ironic from someone when you think that Harry desperately wanted to avoid the public eye. Desperately wanted to avoid it. And yet he has... Well, he's got a bullseye on his back.
Right. All right. You wanna shift from royals? Hello.
1 second.
Okay. Pending Jeopardy music.
Oh, okay. Hang on. No, it's not that. King Charles is actually waiting. He hasn't given the titles yet. He is waiting for the release of Harry's book to decide on the titles. So, because Harry's sitting on a book that he wants to release about his time in the royal family, the titles are in limbo. But they were meant to be given to them as part of a compromise. So I do believe there's more to it. But yeah, we should segue. Oh, and by the way, 28 people watching, only 11 likes. I'd like more, please. Thank you.
If you couldn't understand him because he sounded like he was gobbling balls.
It was your balls.
Oh, thank you. I felt it. The vibrations all the way from here.
I do what I can.
Please hit that like button. We would very much appreciate it. Moving on.
He sounds like he does an ad for me or something. I like it. Yeah, moving on. Biden looks like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yes. And do you know that... okay, sorry. I got ahead of myself. At the UN, Biden decided that... Well, I guess he didn't decide. He forgot where he was.
He looked like he was lost. He looked like he was lost, and someone had to say to him, Mr. President, and then they were talking to him about something else. Yeah, they were talking to him as if he had another question. No, they were trying to show him where to go while making it seem like they had a question. It was embarrassing. Honestly.
It was terrible, actually. Now, I looked this up this very moment on the Google machine, well, actually on the DuckDuckGo machine, but and I found MSN's fact check.
Oh God!
The claim. A clip in this moment basically said that did he get lost on the UN stage?
He did. There were steps. There were steps on his right-hand side. His right. There were steps. There were rails there if he wanted to go down. But I don't think he was meant to go that way. I think he did a George Bush. He just didn't walk in the wardrobe.
The facts related to this, it does not easily say yes or no, because of course it doesn't, right? It starts by going, Biden has been a common target of misleading content, not least because, as he has admitted, he's prone to making gaffes. I'm like, okay. So, this is, according to this, exaggerated or misrepresented due to missing context. Biden apparently is posing for a photo or, quote, waiting for guidance, as he has been seen doing on past occasions.
Would you like to know something interesting?
Yes, please.
When Biden attended Queen Elizabeth II's funeral, his rather fancy car was driving somewhere to get him to a place where I believe they were shuttled to the rather beautiful St. George's Chapel. Would you like to know what the people said to him, the British people?
I would love to, actually.
Let's go, Brandon.
Very Manchester United of them.
The UK do not respect him at all. They were chanting that while he was waving at them. And they were not just chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." They were flipping him off.
Did you see that there was a guy who treated Trudeau the same way? There was some random dude who just was calling... Was it Macron or was it Trudeau? Fucking French...
Well, they're both French in their own way.
Yeah. And basically, somebody was ripping into them, and just calling them all sorts of names, calling them a tyrant. Oh, it was hilarious. And it was just like this big old British dude with just a hat on, just fucking hollering at him like maybe,
That sounds like it was Trudeau. Away. Yeah, it must have been at Trudeau. It has to be.
Oh, it was fucking great.
We would call the French something vastly different and much more articulated. I promise you. It was definitely Trudeau. It has to be.
Yes, the true King of Scotland says, yes, it was Trudeau.
It was Trudeau. Ah, well,
thank you, true King of Scotland.
Honestly, I
love your name. That's why I wanted to say it.
His name must be Harold Hardrada. I love that. I love that a lot. But carry on with Brandon, President Brandon.
So Yes. So apparently they said what was curious was that he stopped a moment and waited for something, as if somebody had told him to stop, which would follow because then all the leaders were asked to get up for a photo op. However, this man shouldn't need direction like a first-time stage actor. They should be able to fully be able to. Oh, look, stairs. Let me walk down those stairs. Oh, Mr. President, actually, they want you up there for a photo op. Oh, my bad. Walk back
Fucking
up the
idiot.
stairs.
They're absolute morons, aren't they?
Oh my god, it's terrible. Like watching the nightmare that is our president interact on a global stage. Yeah, they used to say that Trump was a disgrace, a national disgrace because of how he acted in public. I am so much more ashamed by the existence of Joe Biden on a national stage than I ever was with Trump. And Trump said some dumb shit.
Just to insert this, there was an interview. Okay, so Australian news has of late absolutely been pillorying Harris and Biden. Like they've a full. If you Google Australian news mocks Harris, you will get a shitload of videos and news articles from Australian like Sky News and other
Sky
Australian
News
outfits.
is brutal.
Well, the thing is, they've been destroying them because, for example, Harris, when she did a interview, she said the highlight was her saying nothing because everything else she said made no sense, even when it was played from start to finish. Not a complete sentence made any sense.
No.
It was embarrassing, and they ripped into her for that. And then there was the interview Biden was giving, and there was talk of like Biden was trying to say that fuel prices are going down to what levels they were before Russia did all this stuff, and we tapped into the oil reserves, and inflation's at 8.3%, Mr. President, and you've had 2 million plus illegal immigrants enter your country this year alone. And his response was to completely ignore it. Tell me you don't like tell me you don't respect the American people without telling me you don't respect the American people.
Oh, absolutely. And let's not forget, this is a bit of a and also. Let's also not forget that we have had the discussion on this very podcast show thing.
On Spotify as well.
Thank you. That do you remember when we had first discussed the whole they're transporting migrants in the middle of the night? Do you remember that conversation?
I saw a video of some of them being brought to a place in California, and they would be telling them, we're having to move out now because we're getting sick of this shit.
Go on, tell me how much you love them.
Oh, it cracked me up to no end. Because there are people who are running like these, not necessarily hostels, but other places akin to that. And they were realizing they're being put out of business because they can't afford the costs of having all these people here, and they don't have the funds to look after them. I honestly, people saying they're moving out because they're being made to feel like they don't belong there anymore. And there's a point. There's a point to that.
Oh, absolutely.
I assume California will be New Mexico.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. That's what I was going to go into. So, Ron DeSantis has been going kind of fully based lately.
I've noticed.
He has opted to start calling. I'm going to call it calling their bluff. The bluff of the quote unquote sanctuary states.
Yeah.
By sending them, the migrants from Florida, in conjunction with Abbott, in fact, to places like New York.
Oh, I heard.
Mayor Eric Adams has already bitched about it many weeks ago. But now, this week, he sent them to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, that's the fucking one I saw. That's the one I saw. Oh.
And it brings me such joy.
I saw that. I cried with laughter. I'm sorry, But that was so
not.
fucking. It's just so dumb. Look, first of all, these states are the ones that are very much in favour of just allowing people in. You are now being held accountable for that. Your decisions hold huge political sway on the country's legislation, and the inaction of those in high office whose job it is first to protect the American people and the American people's interests. The American people's interests, apparently to these rather large city areas, is to betray everyone else. That is not your job. And because you're doing that, somebody else has decided, fam, I'm going to fuck y'all in the ass and you're not going to like it because I'm not even going to spit on it.
Well, you remember, these people decided that they wanted to make illegal immigration something they wanted to grandstand on. Yeah. Something they wanted to assert themselves as, I am better than you. Look how I think about these people, right? In fact, we'll go so far as to say that ICE has no lawful capacity to operate in our area, in our district. And then when they get called on it, when they're like, oh, so you won't deport anybody, correct? Cool. Awesome. So they have a place to go. Here you go. And they go, wait, no, not like that.
It's odd. It's almost
mean it like that.
Yeah, it's almost like they can't handle the very consequences they introduce to everyone else. But everyone else is supposed to go, welcome to my lovely home, and take my job. It's fine.
And that's the part that pisses me off the most. Like the audacity that you expect Texas and Florida and Arizona and New Mexico, all these other places, to have all of the infrastructure in place to handle them. But you, who assert themselves as, we are going to do our best to handle all these migrants, you guys don't have the infrastructure, and yet you made the statement almost like, well, you said you could handle it. Job application, I'm proficient, I'm a professional in this field. Okay, here we go.
Don't make a liar out of us.
And then they're like, I don't know what a weld is. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you're just liars, all of you.
Absolute
to answer
liars.
the chat, the significance of Martha's Vineyard is that it is a wealthy home away from home vacation spot for the ultra elites. Also, the Obamas have a house there.
Not surprising that they have a house there.
Of course, right? So the importance is, it's basically the people who make all the policies. They basically drop them off on their doorstep.
Wow.
At their lovely vacation homes that they think are much better than the common rabble rousers.
Well, of course, the oiks and the plebs need to learn their place.
Correct. So that's the significance of sending them there. And of course, now what you have is people who are calling on Ron DeSantis to be charged with human trafficking.
LOL.
For this this movement of migrants.
Civic
mind
duty,
you, mind you, that before DeSantis had moved all these people, he had them sign a consent form in their own language just to make sure that they, as legal, able-bodied, capable adults, were able to make able-bodied, capable decisions and say, we're going to send you here. Are you good with that? Yeah. Cool, thanks.
Honestly.
Versus the Biden administration, who had been transporting migrants in the secrets of night, to
not even secretly, was it? It wasn't even secretly done.
Well, I mean, it was secret in the sense that the media didn't cover it.
No, well, different. That's a different kind. That's a different kind of secret. That's more like media blackout when he does something wrong.
Yes, and didn't Joe do it first? Of course he did.
Let's just focus on the fact that Trump might get. Why isn't he in shackles yet?
Oh, I know. Oh, and let's not forget, Trump had kids in cages.
Yes.
Might I remind you who made those?
Obama?
And Biden.
La 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 la.
Weird.
Christmas gift.
It's almost like you guys expected them to be like, what's the word? Good people? And you're just now realizing that politicians aren't good people. And everyone's like, yeah, no shit, dude. Like, welcome to the party. We knew this already.
What divs, hey?
Texas was mad. I'd be fucking pissed too. Over 200,000 migrants, like in the course of like a week or so.
Yeah, no, Texas don't take that shit.
And you're expecting a border town, which border towns don't necessarily always have like the best infrastructure to handle like people. Most border areas are usually like, I'm in between travel locations, right? Mm-hmm. Like there are more of like spaces that you go for a moment, not to stay. But like you're expecting a town of like 44, I think it was like 44,000, like the border town of like not El Paso, but the one right at the border, to be able to handle hundreds of thousands of migrants. Like literally, it's not possible.
Just the thing. We've got the midterms coming up. Many people are already saying Biden's fucked, even though that's not going to be the case. If DeSantis runs, they're going to use that regardless of the truth of it, and it will be used effectively against him.
Yeah, I can see that.
But just the thing then. Let's just quickly speculate then, because you've got midterms coming up. He has tapped into the reserves to make himself look good because of those midterms. Mm-hmm. That's why he's doing it. It's all politics.
Right.
What do you think the outcome of those midterms will be, though? And do you think they'll play a part in the election?
So I still genuinely think that the majority of people still support what DeSantis is doing. Despite what the media might say about like the repercussions of the everyday non-committal voter. Mm-hmm. If that non-committal voter lives in a border area, they already made their decision a year ago.
Yeah.
About who they are supporting.
Right.
And suddenly somebody now has, actually done something that directly benefits the people who have been begging for assistance. And Democrats somehow believe that action, the accusations of human trafficking, are somehow going to help them as opposed to the other ones. I think they are not only just woefully mistaken, but borderline delusional at that point.
Couldn't agree more. I think they have to be delusional. And I think with more tabloids, articles, sites coming out and speaking out against the inaction and the delusions, I did actually, on our server, I linked a video. I'm going to play the audio from it, just because I want people to hear how bonkers Biden is. Once I open the fecking tweaks, apparently I can't open a Twitter video on Discord. So give me a second.
Inflation.
It's 44 seconds long, right? It's 60 minutes. The caption reads, Tell me we're fucked without telling me we are fucked.
Oh, yes. Didn't I send this to you, too?
You probably did, but I put it on the server anyway, so I'm going to play it now.
Annual inflation rate came in at 8.3%. The stock market nosedived. People are shocked by their grocery bills. What can you do better and faster?
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective. Inflation rate month to month was just an inch. Hardly at all.
You're not arguing that 8.3 is good news.
No, I'm not saying it's good news, but it was 8.2 or 8.2 before.
It was 8.2 before, everyone. Inflation was 8.2. Barely went up an inch, everyone. Barely an inch. That means nothing. I'm going to carry on with this. I need to interject copyright.
Maybe I can make it sound like all of a sudden, my God, it went to 8.2%. It's
the highest inflation rate, Mr. President, in 40 years.
I got that. But guess what we are? We're in a position where For the last several months, it hasn't spiked. It has just barely, it's been basically even.
Oh, inflation's barely basically been even for the last 7 months. What a wise man who's not seeking to bring inflation down.
He says that like it's some kind of victory.
It's a weird flex. A very
Yeah.
weird flex. He is such an absolute... thing is, in that, by the way, he looked genuinely like his eyes were being held open via sellotape and paper clips on the back of his head. Like, I love that the first thing underneath is a Wall Street meme t-shirt showing many different places value diminishing significantly with him saluting in front of it. But the best tweet, Undoomed. The first, it's his tweet, was the first one I got up to. The first step to recovery is admitting there's a problem. Even alcoholics know this.
Jesus.
I couldn't agree more.
They cannot admit that there's a problem, though. They built up this lie for so long that if they bring it to the people that something, has gone wrong in the master plan that was, remove Trump and Biden will bring back normalcy, right? If they reveal that information as if, yes, in fact, things are wrong, then they lose everybody that they convinced, hoodwinked, if you will, about how well it's really going.
Yeah. It's astonishing how dishonest... We have it in our country, yes. Our new chancellor, whose name I don't know how to pronounce yet, he had made some random buzzwordy little mini statement thing. And I kind of sat there thinking, all this level up bollocks, all this powerhouse nonsense. The problem is that his own statement was loaded and dishonest, because he never actually addressed where the money would come from to tackle this issue. In fact, what he didn't tell anyone was the one thing Labour hit him with, and that's the fact that to do what he said, he'll have to borrow billions, and it will cost us more further down the line, which is ironic, really, because Labour are renowned for only ever thinking of short-term gratification. Labour and the Conservatives like to think of themselves as the long-term happiness party, which is a load of bollocks as well. Their long-term happiness version is fox hunting, with quail bows. Just not really a practical thing, but just something they can enjoy for a laugh. All the gear and no idea. And in this instance, it's that same problem you guys seem to have, where your politicians, whoever's in charge, doesn't seem to want to admit where the issue is. Because, by the way, no one loses respect for you if you say something's wrong. In fact, we respect you more when you admit this isn't going to plan and you guys need to think. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I don't know why people think you always have to be this alpha. You're not an alpha. You're
It's
you're
even
at best.
worse when you're playing with people's fucking lives, and you're like,
Yeah. At best, he's a geriatric. And I can't understand. Oh, that's Gamma, I guess. I can't understand why no one's willing to concede when they're getting it wrong. We have it here all the time, and it's the arrogance, and it's such a crappy trait. Fuck's sake, you're not special. You're not better than everyone else. You've been chosen by a majority. In some cases, maybe illegal. Who knows? But you've been chosen regardless to do a job. But actually, it's actually not his area, weirdly. Domestic isn't meant to be his area, is it? President's meant to be doing foreign. Congress are the ones that are meant to be domestic, and they're the ones letting it down as well, because they make everyone look like shit, because they're also out of touch, yet they're voted every 2 years. Ours is 5 years, and it's still a fail.
Somehow, the Democrats in Congress are getting away with the fact that they can lie to the American people, and people will buy it. I mean, we still have January 6th committee hearings going on right now.
I know. I've heard them.
And at this point, if the people who are like still watching it, I have a feeling like they're long They're long gone. Like there's no salvaging those people anymore. I think that if they genuinely are still interested in the January 6th, committee hearings that have gone on for far longer than expected, that have, been a show trial from day one with no opposition to any of the questions asked. I mean, it's absolutely insanity that any of this is happening and people are still, going along with it.
I actually don't understand it, how it's still going on, to be honest. I just maybe it's, again, we're just the public, but from my perspective, you don't, just because you have a position of authority doesn't mean you can appeal to authority, like a fallacy. Just because you are the authority doesn't mean you can just be it. You've still got to be held accountable, and I don't know about your system, but ours does that, but it's quite embarrassing, really. It's funny to watch politicians squirm when they're in committees, because they will get summoned to Commons or to committees to answer for things they've done. In yours, though, it's not the same at all. Yours is almost like your president is nigh untouchable, and I don't like it.
Well, I mean, they definitely proved with Donald Trump that that's not the case.
Only when they can rally enough people and hold the House and impeach him twice for things that were never proven.
Correct.
But it was proven. It wasn't. I'm sorry. We read it. We went through it on live stream. There was fuck all there. Shut up. All right?
Yeah.
They just impeached him because they had a massive, majority in those committees. You pricks.
Yeah, that's about right.
We did this. It was cringe. But that's the problem.
Yes, we was.
Ours, even in this context, ours won't do that. Logical fallacies are not a playbook politician. That's true. That's a fair point.
Well, you guys also have a lot more, I mean, let's be completely honest. Y'all have a lot more actual rules that I feel like we just don't have,
Your system
we just don't have those rules.
Yeah, your system doesn't have that accountability at every single step of the way. Ours does because of it. And yes, we do have party politics, 100%. There's always going to be that in every single country, but there is a deviation at some point here and there. For example, the current ruling body in my party in my country, they tear each other apart all the time. We've had 4 prime ministers in 12 years, okay, with the same party. Your Republican Party are very similar, because they were chewing their own assholes just for the sake of it, rather than actually working together. Right? Your Republicans are our conservatives in that, and that's fine. But I find it hilarious that some people, you cannot just say you are doing all these good things when the results clearly never demonstrate you are. They just show that you seem to be somehow, you've given off this impression you're willing to do something, and then you decided, once you got into that place where you said you would do these things, you took your stick and you went and stood in the middle of the road like a good lollipop man, and decided instead just to usher people from one side to the other, which is what will happen in the midterms if more people become disillusioned with what you've done and cross the street and go vote for the other party. Do you like that?
Yes, I did. I quite enjoyed that.
Thank you for listening to my second TED Talk of the evening.
So I genuinely don't know what the fuck, that January 6th thing is utter bullshit, and it's the sane people who are fully aware of it.
Are they still there? Nadler and Pelosi and Schumer and all those idiots.
Yeah, not all of them were on committee. January 6th committee is like Adam Kinzinger and folks like that. They're not necessarily. I mean, those people still exist in Congress. Yeah,
I'm impressed they're still about. Nadler needs to.
Yeah, me too.
He needs a replacement hip, both. Schumer needs his mouth sewn shut, and Pelosi needs to stop using whatever it is that's peeling her skin back to make her look younger and younger, while not at the same time because of how stretched her skin is.
True.
She looks like the creature from the second episode of the Doctor Who reboot. That human who was just a flat piece of flesh being pinned back.
Thank you for the nightmares.
You're welcome. I do what I can.
Mm-hmm.
I find these people quite frustrating because all of them are hypocrites. Isn't there a thing that Biden is pushing forward with about donations and how much? Isn't it like some campaign, not campaign finance, but something like what people can't, where the money comes from, kind of thing? Accountability in that respect.
Yeah. So they were making the comment that they need to get control of dark money in politics.
That's
essentially. It's essentially it's using the system to enrich your own campaign by basically skirting some rules in campaign finance law. Is essentially what that is. He's going after it, I don't think he's actually going after it. I think he's saying that he's going to go after it. I don't think he's going to fucking do it, because if he does, then he's going to shoot his own campaign financing in the foot. Like, the projection of the Democrat establishment is so strong when it comes to the criticisms that they levy against Republicans.
Yeah.
That it's almost as if, I mean, it was a comment that I almost had said earlier, but they gaslight professionally, right? They will tell you what's wrong and that you're doing wrong as they do it, and tell you, nuh-uh, it's not happening that way. Or it's different because we're doing it, right?
Yeah, one rule for me, but not for thee. It still circles around. It's such pretentious logic.
Do.
It is, actually. That is quite ironic. Consider, actually, it falls handily in line with the whole wanting to control everything that is apparently an automatic, including semis and, well, basically all guns, really. Your pew devices, they're going after your guns.
Because they're allowed to have security, because they're important people. Like, literally, that was a comment made by some senator. I forget which one it was, but it was somebody in Congress who was asked, why do you have private security, but you advocate for Americans not being able to protect themselves? He goes, well, I'm a senator. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So it's because you're, quote, important, question mark? Because you have the money to pay for private security? Because you make bad decisions and people get angry at you? Which part is it? Because I think it's all of it, honestly. But more importantly, in the back of their minds, they think they're better than us. Because, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, many people are in fact stupid.
No shit.
And yeah, no. I know I'm ragging on senators for thinking that they're better than common people.
They do. Same with
but there are also very stupid common people.
Well, this swings and roundabouts, because we have this politicians who cut the queue to pay respects to the Queen. You didn't pay respect to the Queen, really, because you didn't serve the people. You jumped the people. Therefore, you thought you were better than the very people that voted you in. Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly that. And the other thing is, like, they pretend, like, politicians pretend as if when they give their answers to questions, when they're selling their campaign, they're pretending as if regular people genuinely believe that when they answer a question, they're answering it honestly, or completely, or to the best of their knowledge, right?
It's bullshit.
As opposed to John Doe. How do you feel about a recent bill that was going through Congress about restricting access to semi-automatics?
Yeah.
John Doe goes, well, in my opinion, I think that the gratuitous loss of life, one life is too many. And we cannot, as Americans, continue to stand by and allow these mass shootings to continue. Excuse me. That's not what I asked. I asked what'd you think of the bill. I don't give a shit about your grandstanding about what you think the rest of the country needs to hear.
Yeah.
But that's what they do every time. They will literally stand on. I don't think that's the correct phrase. I was almost going to say rest on their laurels, but I think that's the wrong turn of phrase for that. I forget what that means now. But basically, they're no, actually, that is correct. That is correct. To basically say like, oh yes, we will handle it our way. And don't you worry about an actual answer to your question. You wouldn't know what to do.
You know what it is
anyway.
with that. Usually, the reason they say that is because they actually don't know what to do. Because they're so stupid. They only ever think of the one thing they think everyone's going to want to know about, and they don't actually give any consideration for the actual problems people have. They only think about what can make them look good, and what can make them look better, what can help them with their own little private interests, which was another point I wanted to mention with the dark money thing, because I was like, this is a very interesting thing to talk about how people enrich themselves, because a lot of people enrich themselves by having those insider trading deal interest things, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Don't see you doing anything about that, because shitloads of you fucking idiots benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many presidents sent their kids to Ukraine again?
Oh, don't even get me started right now on them. Like
the photos,
I have to right now be on the side of Ukraine because of the
one with Russia.
The 300,000 that Russia's trying to call up, right? But at the
yeah, they are, aren't they? Conscription,
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But I am also at the same time like fucking like pissed as hell that we're still there. Like the prisoner we just had a prisoner transfer recently. Well, rather Ukraine did, quote unquote, Ukraine did. Where Americans were released. Which means Americans are in Ukraine. What the fuck? Like, are we just pretending again that like we're not like full on proxy war going on in this shit? Like, really? Are we? Do they have such contempt? Do the politicians have such contempt for the American people that they think that anything related to Russia is anything but a glorious excuse to put down arguably the only rival that the U.S. actually has when it comes to like the desire to take over everything and like be the center superpower in the world, right? Because China really wants to, but they keep forgetting how to build things that don't fall apart. But like, really? Is nobody going to see this as exactly what it is, which is a glorious proxy war in which we're using Ukrainians and some Americans as pawns in a greater scheme?
Well, Ukraine are doing a fantastic job because, well, not that, but Russia, sorry, Putin's escalating his way of dealing with that by having annexation referendums in some of the regions he's already taken.
Yeah, so that he can use nuclear arms, allegedly, according to MSNBC, so that he can use nuclear arms to defend it. And I'm like, that's actually a pretty smart fucking idea.
It would make some sense because he doesn't have many options left since they've been pushing him back. Although I thought that was a trap to begin with.
True.
Okay.
Sorry, that was my tangent.
That's all right. Is there anything else you'd like to rant about?
Yeah, one more thing.
Okay.
So, there's a motherfucker in North Dakota. His name is Shannon Brandt.
Who's that?
He ran over a teenager with his car.
Oh, was that the girl?
The teenager Uh,
Was
no,
it?
maybe Kaylor Ellingson. No, it was a guy.
No, I thought it was someone else. I just saw someone in the news. Sorry. Nia Long
Ran
was
him
the one I
over
saw.
because the guy or the teenager was allegedly part of a right-wing extremist group.
Well, that totally justifies it.
Right? Almost what, a week or two from when Biden had said that MAGA extremists are a threat to this country. You had somebody go out and actually run somebody over because they thought that they were part of a Republican extremist group. An 18-year-old who was at a fucking party.
Part of me thinks that they think that because of what's happened in the past, that with that other Charlottesville thing, somehow it's justified to now do it.
I mean, it's either that or that the individual who did this, who, by the way, was released. This is the part that when you asked, what, do I want to rant about something? Motherfucker was released on $50,000 bond after admitting to police that he hit him with his car. And after having left a hit and run. Yeah, all that shit.
Right.
And they let him go. For reference, by the way, Kyle Rittenhouse was held on $2 million.
Yeah, it's surprising what they consider acceptable.
I genuinely don't know where this country pretends it's going, but it's not in a good way. But yeah, that motherfucker. I can't say what I want to say, but I'm gonna let chat, presume what I want about, in my brain. If nothing short of this guy needs to be in prison.
Yeah.
This guy needs to actually be held as if justice actually matters. At the very least, he admitted to the crime. He should get his trial, and he should have that statement be used as evidence against him, and he should face a jury. Because that's what we do in this country.
Yeah, you sue everyone. No, I mean, no. This, yeah. I agree with the statement.
Oh my god, it's fucking miserable. Time check. Thank you. Well, that was what I wanted to rant about. Is there anything you wanted to rant about before we head off for the evening?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm all good. Is there anything you'd like to promote?
Just follow me on Twitter at TrupsLP.
Please put link in chat. Not you, the other server secretary.
Oh, okay.
I have nothing to promote. No, actually I do. There's a new video on a channel I do reading stuff on, like poetry and short stories. I will hopefully Wildling in the chat will post it quickly because I don't have access to it. Okay. Oh no, I do. I posted it a little while ago. I'm going to link it. See?
Oh yeah.
Link.
See, we don't always just abuse Wild. Thank you, by the way.
I do. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for smashing the like. You may be becoming a patron. Yes. Your money is appreciated. Thank you. I shall now be disappearing because we both actually will be. Are we here next week, Trups?
Yes, I'm good for next week. It's the 30th.
Woot. 2 in a row. Winners.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for joining, everyone. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.